Welcome, everyone, around the ACL. It's Michelle here with Jake Brannon and Anthony Ione. Trey bailed on us, you guys. That's the truth of it. Just a last-minute bailout.
He hates us. That's what it is.
The truth comes out. No, Trey, it's okay. You're the boss. You're allowed to do that. But luckily, Jake stepped in. So, Jake, we appreciate you. And we got a fun show. Anthony, we haven't had you on a little bit. It's good to have you back. And we're going to talk about Biloxi coming up here this weekend. We're going to get into the top 10 from our last Open. We got some cool ACL Academy segments, little sneak peek into that, and then buy or sell. So lots of good stuff to get into. Jake, are you recovering from the very traumatic situation that occurred in Myrtle Beach when you thought the mics were off? Are you okay? A mental health check-in.
Look, I am okay after what happened. I was petrified to touch any buttons or microphones for the next week. But here I am. I got over my fear. I see that mute button right down here on my screen. So I know what happens when I press that. So I think we'll be good to go from here on out. But yeah, it was definitely a traumatic experience. But I'm thankful to be here and be recovering.
So he still has his job, everyone. I know there's a lot of concern out there. Not fired so far. So good to have you.
So far, there's plenty of time to mess up, though. Don't worry.
But this weekend, you're going to have Jake and Wally and I all on the mic. So who knows? It's shenanigans. I don't know what's going to happen. Friday, for the long day we have on Friday, I'm going to put it out here right now. It's probably going to go off the rails a little bit. I'm just saying. Let's be honest.
Lots and lots of corn nuts snack cams in our future. I can tell already.
Anthony, how you been?
I've been great. Just, doing a lot of cornhole ACL stuff in the background, a lot of bag testing and some stuff that we do in the lab. We're trying to put some science to the game as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the background that, eventually will make its way to the rest of the public. So excited about some of that stuff as well.
I can't wait. All right. Well, let's get into it. Like I said, Biloxi, Mississippi coming up this weekend. I was talking to Jake before the show. Really star-studded. I was actually, I thought this was going to be a smaller Open. I wasn't sure who was going to travel to Mississippi, but looking at that list, it does seem like we're seeing our committed pro partners together and a lot of good talent there. So, Jake, what do you think when you look at that list?
Yeah. Real quick, I'll start on the double side. Just going down the list, I could have stopped and wrote a paragraph about any single one of the teams that are there, but I just plucked a few. The first team I had on my list, Alex Rawls and Derek Holland. They're one team I'm definitely looking out for. Pretty lackluster start to the season so far for me. I expected them to be in the top 5, top 10 considerations, but I haven't really seen a lot out of them yet. Granted, I haven't been to a lot of the Opens, especially earlier in the season because of the college tour, but now that I'm back full swing, I expect to see them a lot more on the live stream court as the season progresses. And if not, then we need to start talking about them because I need to see a deep run from them. Another team I'm looking out for is Chris Kingsbury and Alan Rawls. Very easily a top 10 team in the country, but they're one of those teams that don't travel as often as some of these, these Jamie Grahams and the Gore boys and the Mark Richards and Tony Smiths. But when they do go to an event, they put on an absolute show. Very good run in Rock Hill. And then I don't think they've been to another one since. So I'm excited to see what they can do out here in Biloxi, Mississippi. And I expect to see them in the final 3 of their bracket. One more team on the double side before I switch things over to the single side. Dylan Turpin and Eddie Grindersleeve. On paper, I think that they have a super high ceiling. Both players coming off of different pro partners this season and teaming up out of the state of Texas. Another one of these incredibly talented Texas teams. I'm not really sure what to expect. This is the first chance that I will have to look at them this season. And this is, like I said, this is a super high ceiling team. And I honestly, truly think that these two can win the whole thing if they perform up to their standards.
What I like about that one too is I feel like Turpin has always lacked that guy on the other side of the board that's an elite top dude. Now he's made good runs with like a Ricky G who played out of his mind years back in doubles too. I think they finished top 15, maybe top 12. But man, you put a guy like Eddie Grindersleeve across the board from a Dylan Turpin who is so sneaky good. A guy that would have made a TV broadcast if we had all of bracket finals making it to the ESPN broadcast years ago. He's one of those guys that just was always right there. I'm real excited to see what he can do with a guy like Eddie Grindersleeve across the board from him.
Absolutely. Nail on the head. One more. I did see one more doubles team before I switch over to singles real quick. Gabe Clausen, Hayden Gonzalez. Scary team. I love the chemistry, and a lot of people know that I am all over the Hayden Gonzalez hype train. One of the best players out of the Pacific Northwest over there on the West Coast in the state of Oregon. I expect great things from the kid. I expect great things from this team. Moving over to the singles side, first player I have in mind when I was looking on the list, Braden Wilson. Won his bracket in Myrtle Beach. The ACL just highlighted it. It took him triple overtime to beat Gavin Cano to win his bracket. Fell just flat in the final 8, but I think that's going to give him some momentum. It's his best singles finish so far this year, and I think that's really going to be able to turn the page for Braden as the season progresses, as we get closer to these signature events. Teaming up with AJ Sims again on the double side, I think this is a solid start to a really good singles campaign for Braden Wilson. Now, this man is on my list not because I think he's going to win, because I know he's not going to win, and his name is Devin Harbaugh. He even said it himself on social media the other day. There's nowhere for him to practice indoors where he's at right now. So he's straight up been struggling on the boards recently. He played in a regional this past weekend, and he had the 4th worst PPR in the entire field. So as much as I love him, as much as I think he's one of the best players in the country as it sits right now, he's got some things he's got to work through. Do not expect to see Devin Harbaugh in the finals. But of course, like I always say, I love to be proven wrong. And of course, when I say this is the event where Devin Harbaugh comes out, averages an 11 over 142 rounds, and just smokes everybody.
The guy was coming off of cruises and probably endless cocktails. So we'll forgive him for one open.
Exactly. Final player on my list for watching singles is Jeremiah Ellis. He made it very clear with his job. He wasn't able to travel as much, especially during that Christmas holiday season. So I don't believe we've seen him since the first or second open of the season as well. So he's finally going to get back to playing down here in Biloxi, Mississippi. The question for me is he going to be able to return to last season standards, Rookie of the Year MVP, or will the quote sophomore slump become a real thing? I alluded to it on an episode of Around the ACL a few months ago. I think it is a real thing. It is so hard to duplicate what he did last season with the success that he had. But a place like Biloxi is a great place to get started. I'm excited to see what he can do.
You brought up Turpin and Grindersleeve, which I totally forgot about them. Because when I was creating buy or sell, I was trying to come up with a percentage. Like, what percentage of the top 10 is going to be from Texas? Like, is it 50%? I mean, it just seems crazy how many teams are coming out of there. I don't know what the percentage is because math isn't my thing, but I think it's high. I think it's really high.
Yeah,
all right,
if you go back to Myrtle Beach, the final 8 for singles, I think 3 out of the final 8 were singles, but they could have been 5 out of the final 8 were all from Texas. So
I know. It's crazy. All right, Anthony, who are you looking at?
So I'm a little unsure now about my takes here. Did you? Because I pulled this list last night, and I've already noticed a few differences from what you're saying, Jake. Did you was there an updated list today that you know of?
Yeah,
Meesh?
I'm not sure. Well, I mean, I'll explain it. I didn't know I was doing the show till about 2.5 hours ago.
Yeah. So I looked last night.
As soon as I got that notification, I hopped on my laptop, started doing some research. So yeah, I got this list from as recent as an hour and a half ago.
I put it together at about 7 a.m. this morning.
Okay, so what I pulled last night, could that have been open number 6, Meesh?
Yes.
Okay, so let me just take it slowly here then.
Yes. You looked at mine last night? Then yes.
I looked at the I looked at the list last night.
Way to put me on blast in front of everybody.
I was like, wait a minute, Clausen's playing with who is it, Gonzalez? Because my list said Clausen was playing with
I think it was Harbaugh. Was it Harbaugh?
Scheibner. Yeah. So maybe
right,
that was. So okay, well let's just kind of do a big picture then, and maybe not get too detailed. Obviously, Eric Davis in the field is going to be a big one, right? Back-to-back open wins in doubles. He wins one with Wiedenfeld, wins one with Smith. Obviously got my eye on him, and doing it in different formats. He's got a win under the classic format, a win under the shootout format. And just to note, going into this weekend, classic format, correct? That's what I have. Okay, so that could be significant for some players. But Davis obviously showing that we kind of called him the shootout guy, but the guy's so good. He's going to win in that classic format as well. Ryan Trader in the field. And if you look at those two guys in doubles, they're the only players to have 2 open doubles wins this season. We've seen some players rack up 3 and 4 open wins in a single season. Those guys are certainly on track to do something like that. Do you guys have Adam Hissner and Trey Birchfield in the field?
Ooh, I know I saw his.
I don't see them. No
singles, but yeah, that's weird. Isn't Trey Birchfield in
there?
there?
Oh no, they are playing together.
Oh yeah. Okay, good.
Adam
So yeah, so on that topic, I mean, you have the world champs that haven't won an open yet. Their best finish this season is a bracket 4th. So, I mean, it goes to show how good the talent is. Also, we know the open series, it's a little bit more relaxed than when we get to the signature series. I'm so excited to finally get to the pro signature series and see everyone bring not only all of the dedicated partners really come together and focus on that, but we know everyone's going to be bringing their best, and the open gets a little bit more relaxed. But it's still noted that you have the open champs. Their best finish is 4th place. So maybe some eyes on them if they can finally take down a win. I was also going to talk about Trzynski and Graham. Do you see them in the field as well?
They are there, right? I believe. Let's see. Jacob Trzynski. Wait, are they going? No, I guess they're not going.
They're not going. Nope.
They've been at like all of them.
Yeah, that's significant. They made a good run.
That's surprising.
Yep.
They've been
we're gonna get Ethan Walker and Cody Henderson back. We saw them kind of come out of the gate hot at some of the opens. A lot of us had them just outside of our top 10, and after a couple opens, we were like, wait a minute, should we squeeze this team into our top 10? And they moved into mine. So excited to see what they can do. And they have 2 bracket. They made the bracket finals twice. So they have 2 second places in brackets, time to maybe get over the hump and win one. Those were both in the classic format. So showing success in format as a doubles team. Again, we're going to get the classic format this weekend. Are we going to get Cheyenne? Do you see Cheyenne and Jordan Power in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, 2 bracket wins, right? Is it time for them to finally win a bracket? And for me, it's one of those things where I really think that it takes, and they've made it further than I thought. It really takes to win the entire tournament. It takes that roll bag or that cup bag or just something extra than running bags. And I know we've got Jordan Power throwing that beautiful roll bag. What do you guys think about that thing?
I mean, form that I've seen there. He said it might be ugly, but it works, and that is the perfect sentence. But I will tell you, Anthony, I was telling Jake on the mic at open number 6 that I felt like Cheyenne wasn't doing her push through as much.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I heard you saying that on there as well. And that is how she usually combats that dirty game, right? She just cleans it out. But it goes to show that all these players, even when they're at the top of their game, they're constantly evolving. A Jordan Powers saying, hey, I'm trying to get this roll bag going. It's not pretty yet, but it works 15% of the time. I'm going to use it sparingly. You've got guys like Richards regressing off of using the roll bag too much and really bringing that elite level airmail back to the game. So even at the top level, these guys are constantly tweaking. I'm going to actually go to the list instead of my notes here just to look at singles. Yeah. What do you got, man?
I want to ask you a question real quick. I want to give you a team, and I want you to tell me if we should be worried about them as the season progresses. And because it's a team that I had on my radar all year long, but they have not done a single thing. And that's Damon Dennis and Frank Modlin. Should we be concerned about them as the season progresses, or are they okay?
I mean, if you asked me at the beginning of the season, I wouldn't have them inside top 30. So if they're trying to finish inside top 20, I think they should absolutely be concerned. And we know this was going to happen, right? I mean, the game is different than it was 5 years ago. You put Damon Dennis and Frank Modlin together 5 years ago, and man, that's a team that could win the whole thing. But it's a different game today. And, for the players out there, if you're not developing a way to combat blockers, if Cheyenne's going to push through them, I don't like fully relying on an airmail. Your percentages of winning matches just go down, because even if you're hitting 60% airmail, that's 40% of the bags off the back. Not only is that 40% of the bags off the back, but none of those are in play, maybe possibly creating a block or a stack condition. None of those accidentally roll into the hole or roll into a block position. And that's what you get out of blocks. Is it's not necessarily what happens when you make the shot. It happens when you miss the shot. And I like a missed roll over a missed airmail all day. So that is really the difference. And those guys just don't have that. Now, Frank Modlin was working. I was throwing against him. That might have been in 2022. We were at one of the events, and there was a big gap. We played like 3 or 4 games together, and he was developing a bounce bag. Bounce meaning, he was really mocking the angle of the board, trying to get that really flat impact. He didn't have the wrist action to really get that thing lifted up, but he had enough to bounce, and he was hitting that pretty successfully. But fast forward 2 years, it's really not a factor right now in his game. So he's either still trying to develop it or he abandoned that in his shot. So yeah, I would be concerned with some players like that if we're talking inside top 30. I'm just going to pull up that singles list. Meesh.
Yeah, so if you look at the list, what you'll notice, what I was kind of saying at the top of the show, is a lot of committed pro partners playing together. I'm not seeing as much swapping of partners. It does feel like people are like, all right, signatures start in a couple months or a few months. Let's try to get these reps in together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I share your take on Alan Rawls. That guy was, I pretty much stuck by him as that sneaky guy. I held him in my top 10. He had that moment where he was surprising us all. And I'm like, all right, I'm not going to be surprised by Alan Rawls anymore. I'm going to really commit to him. But it's tough with a lot of these players that don't travel much. You just don't know what to expect. So I'm kind of back to don't know what to expect from an Alan Rawls, but he will be in the field. Alec Ryan going to be in the field. We're going to get a look at Alex Hicks. Don't know what to expect from Alex Hicks. This was one of my favorite players going back 3-4 years ago. I started watching this kid when he was 11. We know what he's capable of. We know he struggles on the broadcast, but still in bracket play, this is a guy that used to be able to take it down. Where's Alex Hicks at right now? Ben Brown going to be in the field. Bobby Hunt, man, who's kind of been killing it right now. You made that call, or you called those matches out in Cali. Really, really unbelievable what he was able to do out in Cali. Can you carry that forward in his singles play? He's playing really well, man. That's a guy that was nowhere near my top 30 list, but could definitely sneak into a top 30 position once we get to the signature series. The guys just don't know what to expect in singles or doubles. Matt Guy had a decent run, I think, recently, but it goes to show again. You go back to the Modlin and Dennis comment about evolving your game. Guy, the best bag runner we know in the game. He's going to be the best air mailer in the game. He's going to have the highest PPR, but yet we got to go to that DPR column. That's great that you threw a 10.6, but your DPR was a 0.39. It might seem really well, but that difference between a 0.39 and a 0.5, we talk about the 10.5, that 0.1 to get you to a half DPR is so critical.
Yeah. Did you, I don't know if you tuned in last week, Anthony, but Trey brought up the point that Tony Smith and Eric Davis, their team PPR over the tournament was like a 9 point something, but their DPR was a 1, which means they were holding their opponents to under a 9, which is crazy.
Definitely. I see Gage Landis in the field. We see him popping off in doubles. What do you think? Do you think a Gage Landis has the ability, Jake, to take down a singles open?
I like to say yes. I mean, I think he had some success last season, but I mean, just especially with the format changes, all of these opens and these pro elite brackets are so incredibly stacked. Do I think he has the ability to have a fantastic run and make it top 5, 4, 3 in a bracket? Absolutely. I think anybody does. Do I think he has a chance to win one of these events? I feel like that's going out on a bit more of a limb. I think him and Zach Scheibner have a much greater chance to win a doubles open because I love the chemistry him and Zach have. They're coming back together, playing together this weekend as well. But yeah, just the singles brackets and the depth in the singles pool is so deep. It's so hard to say whether or not somebody is going to win or not. So
let me stay on that for a second, because I think this is a good one, maybe a good conversation. Players that were at the top of the game 5 years ago. Fast forward to today's game. I'm going to hit you with a couple players. Do you think that they can win an open singles title? Jimmy Humans is in the field. Do you think Jimmy can win an open singles title?
Yes. Yeah,
you do.
He had a fantastic. I think it was at the World Championships. He had a fantastic run in his singles bracket there. I think he's got one of the prettiest bags and forms in the pro division. He has that airmail, but he also kind of has that cut and roll ability. So I think so. Yeah, I could give it to him.
Cody Henderson.
It's a tough one. I'm going to say no for right now. And it all goes back to what you said earlier about the ability to have all of these shots in your arsenal. You don't see Cody Henderson attempt rolls or cuts. You see him go slide, block, and airmail. But until I don't know, it's hard to convince me that a player who doesn't have a roll or a cut in your arsenal can win an open.
You. And you're going to see that theme with all these players. Mm-hmm. Next one, Brett Guy.
I think he's working. He's developing that cut and that roll shot. I've seen it a couple times so far this season, but I think he's too inconsistent with it right now. And until he can figure that out, he can work on it at home and practice it. I don't think he can do it either.
All right, one more. Philip Lopez. Can he win an open singles title?
Man. Now, because this one is tough because he doesn't have that blocker cut.
Right.
But that cut or roll, but he's a proven winner in the pro division. He has those couple titles under his belt. He has those TV broadcast appearances.
But nothing in singles.
That's doubles.
Yeah. That is doubles. But but singles, he's had some success, but not a lot of success. So I don't think I can convince myself to say that he can win it on the single side.
Yeah, it's tough. The talent's so tough now.
And it's a different game, as you said.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, let's get into our top 10 from open number 6. We're going to start off at number 10 with hold on. I'm going to just take a gander here. How many of these are kids? 1, 2, 3, 4.
If they're highlight reels, they're all going to be kids.
It's probably 70-80%. Okay, here we go. Ryan Trader starting out at number 10.
He's going to go roll. Oh, that's not bad at all.
Bunk beds over the hole.
Oh my goodness, how did he avoid both of Logan's bags?
This is out of control.
All right, there we go. Cut, collect.
I still don't know how he did that. That was incredible. The ability to not only cut and roll your bag and grab it, but to not bring either of Chamberlain's bags, insane to me.
I like how that shot is evolving where you're essentially just lifting the left side of the bag for a right-handed thrower. We're not seeing that really deep roll, where they're getting that logo really back into your face. Mm-hmm. It's a combination of a front load for the roll and a little bit of a tilt. And it's just that. And when it hits, the right side of the bag stays in contact with the board and you just lift the left and it's able to work its way over the block. That's actually my favorite shot right now in the game. And that's why I think Jeremiah Ellis was so successful last year.
That makes sense. All right. Number 9, we got Colson Cleary with a rodeo.
It is and oneable.
I don't think it's any one of us. It's hanging. Oh my goodness gracious! And they drop. What a!
That's pretty.
I'll admit I hated watching this happen. He was going up against my boy Michael Dodson from Maryland, but that was just an incredible shot. Was that exactly what he was trying to do? I have no idea, but but it worked out perfectly, landing in front and just having them rodeo into the hole.
We're seeing you need that shot more and more because players are going more to the speed controlled game. We're getting a lot more play in front of the hole, and we're seeing those short airmails or rodeos so often. So guys, practice that airmail that's about a whole distance short of the hole, and it's going to come into play for you.
All right, you brought up Bobby Hunt. Here's his and one.
Shot selection in a round limited game, up 10, but if you're feeling it, you're feeling it. Smith unable to hit the airmail. Now you have an and one opportunity. Does he go for it again? Bobby Hunt, one of the best airmailers in the game, going up, and he gets it. Big and one with the
flex.
Look, I was getting ready to say the and one is cool, whatever, but it was a flex he gave after he hit it. That was the
highlight. It was subtle too. It was real subtle, just the subtle
poor Ryan Smith. He was on our live stream court a couple times in Myrtle Beach, and I think he got smoked every single one
Struggled.
of them.
Yeah.
Jake, when you're throwing the and one, do you throw a lower profile airmail to come in like more line drive?
So it really depends on where the bag is placed behind the board. Since that bag was right on the back lip, I do kind of throw a little bit more of a line drive. So it hits the back lip. Let's see if I can get it here. It hits the back lip and that bag propels off. If the bag was pushed maybe another ½ inch past the hole, that's where I would throw my arcing bag to try to get the bag to land on that back lip, propel that bag off, and drip into the hole.
All right, there we go. All right, Espen Jackson is going to have a 3-bag push.
And we also talked about strategically. This is a theme that you're going to watch throughout the game. Jack McKinney there on your left told us that he wants to, what we call, run as many bags as he can, meaning he wants to put as many bags in the hole as you can. You'd think to yourself, well, of course, that's the whole point of the game. Meanwhile, an outrageous shot by Espen Jackson getting the fallback.
Trey, outrageous.
I mean, it was disgusting. I know those boards are a lot faster than the board that they'll play on out in the regular arena, but that is just still such an incredible shot. The precision and the poise you need to have to make that shot. Poor Jack McKinney. I mean,
and comfort with the slick side of your bag, guys. You have to be able to throw that with the slick side of your bag. If you are not comfortable with the slick side of your bag, start throwing it a ton.
That's my number one thing every time I'm playing a blind draw. When I tell them to go slick side push, I always say, don't be afraid to throw it. You cannot be afraid of that slick side.
I'm afraid to throw it.
I'm also afraid to throw it. All right, Jackson Gore's going to have 2, but let's see this one first. This is his and 1 coming in at number 6.
And follow along there as well. Oh, here we go. And 1, question mark. He's going up, and he gets the and 1. What a shot for Gore.
There it is.
I mean, human highlight reel Jackson Gore, really. These past couple opens, winning in Richmond, 2nd overall in Myrtle Beach, he has hit incredible shot after incredible shot, and there's another and 1. Insane.
If there's ever a time to throw an airmail, it's right there, guys. You have both the hole control and you hold the block position with the drag on the backside. You shoot that airmail every single time.
Yes, well, I don't, but yes, you guys do. All right, number 5, Cody Brooks of the reverse cut 2-bag collect. That was a mouthful.
Have a brand new Final Four for high
I
school
wonder if that's
singles.
ever happened, because I know I've always seen the repeat faces, at least in college. I can't think of high school. Whoa.
Oh my goodness, what a collect by Cody Brooks. He's
Pretty good.
Disgusting. What a shot. I mean, I was taken aback when he hit that. I was not prepared for that whatsoever.
Now, the key to that one was that level 2 out to the left. Without that bumper, that shot's a lot riskier. And when you know you're not, if you go a little left, it's just going to bring you back right. It gives you a lot more confidence to throw that slick side one, but that was the key to that bag as well.
All right, let's bring Jackson Gore back for this banana peel airmail drag, number 4.
Quite the pile.
That's a pile. That's a tough airmail over. He is going to lay behind, play conservative. And now Gore going up. And Gore hits the drag. Big banana peel. Oh, my word.
There it
The
is.
big banana peel. What a dumb name for the shot, but I mean, it's exactly what it is. You're peeling that top bag off of the rest of the pile. I mean, if it works, it works.
It was timely, too. Down 2, coming into, I think it was the 8th or 9th round limited format. You miss that airmail, and he might not win that game. You're going to be down big with a couple rounds left, so that was huge.
All right, number 3, of course, Eric Davis, 2-bag airmail drag rodeo.
Really talking about this one. Tony said, no, you just got to hit it.
Easy peasy.
I don't even know what the shot selection was. Do you? We got to step out. Stick side down. Going.
Oh my goodness, Eric Davis.
It's just typical Eric.
I hate him. He's the worst ever. I wish I could do some of the stuff that he does. Golly, that's such an incredible shot. The fact that not only he was able to collect everything, but that bag in his hand doesn't bounce off or trampoline anywhere off the board, incredible.
You guys were both there. How did that partnership work? Did you get any feel of Was Tony
It
Smith
It
stressing
makes
out
total
or?
sense. No,
It
they were
does.
like
No, I mean, it does.
perfect.
Well, and we talked to Tony. He's like, I don't even think he was supposed to be there. He walked in, didn't have a partner, but turns out neither did Eric Davis. So they just partnered up randomly, won the whole thing.
Yeah,
But
I can
but
see
did-
Tony Smith working well with Eric Davis. He's kind of like a whatever guy too. So that
No, that's what
actually
I
is-
didn't think it would work because it's like two whatever people, but it worked.
Well, I
All
said
right.
that
Worked
about
fine.
Eric Davis and Ryan Wiedenfeld in Richmond because they're both two whatever guys either. They won't say a
true.
single word to each other, and they smoked everybody too.
It's true. All right, number 2, Bryce Forbes with a bar soap.
Hey, is that bunk beds?
It is a bunk bait. He's going to go for bar soap. Oh, he gets it. What a shot for Bryce Forbes.
It was a long bar soap, I must say.
It was nasty. I mean, you're down 19-7. You gotta try something, and that's exactly what you need to do. Picture perfect bar of soap.
Do I have his personality right that he's similar to Eric Davis? He just doesn't seem to.
Yes.
He could hit the best shot and doesn't care. He could win, doesn't care.
Got the same haircut. Crazy.
It's the same person. All right, let's get to number 1. I thought this was an obvious number 1. It had to be Joey Forbes with the under the leg airmail on the broadcast.
Have to slide in. Last shot is in for Noah. And that one in between the legs, fires on the airmail. Are you kidding me?
Joey Forbes.
I mean,
Meesh, maybe you know out of Cali, but 10 matches between those two boys. Who wins more matches?
Well, between Joey and Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Joey's like up and coming, right? Tony's more established. I think Joey could easily pass him in time, but it's, he's Nick's been saying don't sleep on Joey for a while, but I'd still say it's newer.
Okay.
insane. The cojones to do that on the broadcast like that is crazy to me. Yeah, what a shot.
That's absolutely crazy. All right, we've got some ACL Academy segments, so we're going to give you a sneak peek into some of the stuff we do in ACL Academy. The first one is going to be Quinn Reeves, and Quinn Reeves, really cool what he did. He brought up some of his games, and then he talked through what was going on. So we're going to watch a little bit of that and listen to him kind of talk through it.
Okay. So say he was to go for a push now, it would bring everything in. Okay. But since Sammy kind of misses this roll, I was honestly surprised he didn't go with a push here. But he decides to try to roll it. That pins down that corner even more. So now this bag is being caught up on kind of this whole pin situation. He's pinning this top right corner, and he's also pinning the middle of this bag right here because of how that was previously hanging in. So his first thought was to go push. We made quick little eye contact, and instantly he knew I was thinking don't go push. So he just went and cut around and just snuck in there pretty seamlessly.
So he actually does a few, like he goes for a good 10 minutes going through different shot selection and partner communication. But I thought it really made me think, like, I do not think about the game much at all. Like the details of where he thought that bag was and why he picked that shot. I'm just like, I don't know. I would have pushed it.
That's super interesting to be able to sit and hear what a pro player, especially in the caliber of Quinn Reeves, is going through his head during a shot selection like that is super intriguing and interesting to me. And I know that has Anthony Ione written all over it.
Yep.
No, he loves that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, and that's where having that roll capability in your back pocket is so important. You could have laid up, just called it good. You could have pushed through, but for a guy that has a roll to just have that shot option is super important.
All the shot options, right? How great to be like, let's talk about the 6 different shots you can choose here and why. All right, the next segment is coming from Alex Bolowich, and he's a mental health performance coach and our mental performance coach, and he's going to talk about managing emotions.
And it's the competitiveness and that drive and that care that is the source in a way. I like to say it all starts from a good place, right? It's not starting as angry. It's because you care so much that you're angry because something that you care about is not happening the way that you would want it to. And it's just an interference thing. So comes from a state of care, comes from a state of competitiveness. if you're asking why maybe some people like Steph Curry, maybe a little bit more mellow than Draymond Green, your emotions are largely influenced by your personality. It's not to say that your personality is an angry one. I'll give you an example. If I'm incredibly ambitious, or I like to take risks, I'm courageous, I like to push the envelope a little bit. Well, I'm already having a tendency now to also be more on the side of aggressive. And aggressive doesn't mean violent. Aggressive is also a personality trait. And it could be like, I'm aggressively ambitious with work, with pursuing greatness, whatever it may be, with my health, with my finances, right? You could be aggressively ambitious in those things. That could just be a part of your personality. And that's totally good. It serves you in a lot of good ways. It gets you a lot of good things. It's just the too much of it can then turn into, okay, now this ambition, this aggression has turned into anger. And now it's just gone too far. If you take the opposite character trait of ambition, you have patience. And patience is a great value. It's a great characteristic. However, if you go too far with that, well, then all of a sudden, you're just waiting for things to happen. And you're not really going out and getting anything. You're just sitting on your hands. So you got patience here, ambition here, two qualities, two characteristics and traits about you that are wonderful in their own right. It's just too much of them can turn into whatever it is that you experience. And anger could be one of those. Frustration could be one.
So he goes into more of that, and he goes into what I liked about Alex's talk for our cornhole players is that he breaks down exactly what to do to regulate your emotions inside the game. And it was so simple. It was 3 steps. So really simplified, really fantastic content. And unprompted by me, all the people on the call started telling Alex how all these calls have changed their game and how their PPRs. And I was like all these testimonials. I was like, hey, thanks guys. This is fantastic. But yeah, what do you guys think?
I think it's amazing. I think everybody who is trying to make that next leap into a competitive cornhole, are they going from an advanced player to an open player where you can compete against the best of the best, they need to watch a video just like that. I get asked so many times, what's the biggest factor to taking that next leap into becoming one of the greats? And I always tell them, I said, it's your mental game. If you can go out there, compete with the best and fall just short and be like, you know what, that's okay. Next time I'm going to get them. That's a great mental strategy. But I have a couple of local players who are good with their skills, but their mental game needs some work. And as soon as they lose a game, it's the end of the world. They want to quit. It's never their fault. It's always some other outside factors as to why they lose. And I just try to tell them, I was like, if you can't overcome those obstacles, you will never ever get to that next level of competitive cornhole. It's all about mental game is such a bigger facet to cornhole than a lot of people realize. And once you do realize that, it can help your game immensely.
Yeah, Anthony.
Yeah, these games are too close to allow something mental to cost you a point. I mean, we're showing an emphasis on the shootout formats now. These things are coming down to 6-5 matches. You got to think next shot. When you have that moment where you have a bad shot, you roll your eyes, you step out of the box, you might have just changed your routine that you've been doing all day. If you just have that next shot mentality when the score is 6-6. And after the last round and limited and you go into overtime, you think back, I could have scored a point in round 7 and this would be over. It's super important.
Yeah, the closeness. And I will say the funny story about Alex. So I found him on Instagram looking at content, and I reached out to him when we spoke, and he said his first ever client he ever worked with was a cornhole player. I thought that was so perfect.
That is crazy.
So he was super excited to talk to cornhole players and really good stuff. And you can get more about that at academyacl.com. All right, time for buy or sell. First one, Jake. The Gore team will be top 10 this season. Buy or sell?
Hate to admit it, I got to sell it for right now. They're not quite there yet for me personally. I know, yes, Jake just won a stacked regional, and they're both performing well at these opens, especially Jackson, but they haven't performed well together as a duo yet. We remind ourselves, we go back to Rock Hill, the first open of the year. They went 0-4 in rounders, 0-2 in the bracket, 0-6 for the weekend. They got a little bit better as the season progressed. I believe they played one other open together. I don't remember exactly where it was, but this is just the third event that they will have played together at, and I just it's not working for me yet. I think they can get there eventually. They have 3 months until the first signature event, so an event like this can go a long way to helping out their chemistry as the season goes along. But as it sits right now, before the event happens, I have to sell it. Get through this, see what you do in Biloxi this weekend, and maybe my opinion changes on that.
Crazy, because such good singles players, you think come
Exactly.
together. Anthony, what do you think?
Yeah, I was with you, Jake. I'm like, did they play together after open number 1? Have they even done that? Maybe they have one more, but either way, they have no decent finish.
Mm-mm.
And when we say decent, I mean, we're looking maybe top 7 of a bracket in. They don't have anything in that region. So they're, doing well in singles, but not doubles. I'm selling.
Sarah Cassidy will be the number 1 female this season.
This is hard. I love Sarah, but I had to sell it. It's so hard to bet against Cheyenne, and I know she has a couple of head-to-head wins over Cheyenne, including Myrtle Beach. I believe she beat Cheyenne overall for women's singles. But when it comes down to the important stuff, when it comes down to these signature events and these world championships, you cannot bet against Cheyenne Bubenheim. So right now I have to sell it. I don't want to, but I have to.
Anthony?
Yeah, Sarah's making it tough. I mean, 3 years ago, it was like, yeah, no chance. Last year, it was like, nah. Now with what Sarah's doing, it's like, well, she's making it interesting. But yeah, I'm with you. I can't go with that. She has had some success. I think she won open number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't she double dip Bubenheim recently? Was that the last one or the one before?
I believe so. I don't know off the top of my head.
I want to say she double dipped her recently, which is significant. I mean, it's different than winning a women's event that Cheyenne's not in versus double dipping her in a recent women's event. But I'm selling.
It's kind of funny because she's going against the grain of what we were preaching about 25 minutes ago. She doesn't have a roll or a cut shot. She's a slicker side bag thrower down the middle. She'll block. She'll hit air mills when she needs to, but she's consistently averaging in the high 10s, low 11s, is having a significantly enough a DPR where she is just smoking everybody. It goes completely against what we were just saying, but there's outliers to everything, and Sarah Cassidy is one of those outliers. So if you can prevent her from having a high 10 PPR, then I think you're on a good way to beat her. But if you can't get your blocks down and you're missing left and right and she's throwing 24, 28, 32 bags in a row, you're not touching her.
Now, she is developing something in practice. I don't know if she's implementing it in gameplay, but I have seen her implementing some type of a bounce roll in practice, which will be important. I'm glad to see her doing that, but I don't know if she's actually using it in play.
I could definitely see her adding more shots to her arsenal for sure. She wants to stay on top, and she wants to get those deep runs in singles, not just women's. All right, the next one. There won't be any rookies in the top 10 of singles this season, Jake.
Buy it.
Yeah, I mean, this is an easy buy for me, for being
easy.
Honest. I mean, who's the best rookie so far this season? Matt Wilson? He's tied for 29th in singles right now. I mean, and it's no discredit to these rookies who are coming out, but I think the field that we have already solidified in the pro division is so incredibly stacked, nobody's going to come close.
But when's the last time that we haven't had rookies in the top 10 of singles?
That's what ever? I don't know.
This be it, I think.
That's crazy.
It's an easy buy.
All right, you're both buying that one. All right. Soto Cano will finish better than Burton Jr. Chamberlain this season.
Now, this is the exact opposite of the last one. I think I probably sat in front of my computer and stared at the words in this phrase for maybe 15 minutes because I legitimately cannot decide. They're both tied for second in the world right now, and it could legitimately go either way. I think right now I'll sell it only because Burton and Chamberlain have played together for so long, but I could very easily be convinced otherwise. And who knows, I could wake up tomorrow and think that Sammy and Gavin are going to be better than them, but it's just so tough. They're so evenly matched. It's hard to pick, but I think I'll sell it hesitantly right now.
Okay, Anthony.
Yeah, Jake nailed it. It's so even. I mean, this is a photo finish. They could easily finish 2-3, 3-2 when we get said and done with the pro division. I mean, look at the success they're having. JBJ and Logan Chamberlain have 4 open bracket finishes, 5th or better with a bracket win. Soto Kano also have a bracket win, made a bracket final. Gavin went over and won a bracket with Trader. So they're definitely having success. Individually, Soto's popping off. Kano, I expected this to be his year. I really thought Kano was going to be our number 1, number 2 player in the world. Now, we're still early, right? I mean, we're still in the Open Series, a long way to go through the signatures. Chamberlain throwing off his ass right now. Chamberlain is really, really nice. And JBJ seems to always be right there as well. So this is tough. I mean, if you had me make a decision, I like your call on the fact that they've been partners for a long period of time. They've won national championships, not long period of time, but they have a lot of events under their belt, national championships specifically. I'm leaning towards Burton Jr. Chamberlain as well, but I don't like it. I don't like that call.
Not confident at all. No, not even a little bit.
Trzynski Graham will finish better than Harbaugh and Ellis this season.
Yeah, I have to buy this only because when I made my power rankings a couple months ago, I predicted Jamie Graham and Jacob Trzynski to be the number 1 team by the end of the season. And I'm going to stay with it. I'm not going to go against my word. I love Harbaugh and Ellis. I think they're going to do great things. But I can't bet against my pick of Trzynski and Graham. They've given me no reason to not go against them so far. So yeah, I think I have to buy it.
Anthony?
Yeah, I'm for the same reason. I was actually just going to pull that up real quick. We have a little bit of 30 seconds or so. I just wanted to check because we also talked about this at the beginning of the season, and I had Graham Trzynski ahead for that. Yeah, so I'm looking at it here. Yeah, so I have them ahead. The thing for me, and going back to this conversation in the past, was it's going to come down to something small. That's going to be the difference. And the fact that Graham Trzynski are really comfortable with the same bag versus Ellis, who wants to throw the R, and Harbaugh, who wants to throw the X, you're going to have that slight little difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a big deal when you put these two teams together. A 20-20 game, you're looking for that last point. Could Ellis have given up a point or two earlier in the game because the speed was just slightly different with the X versus the R? So the fact that they're still throwing different bags is going to be a factor. I'm going to, what was it, buy or sell? I'm going Trzynski Graham, whatever that buy or sell was. Meesh.
You're buying.
I'm buying.
All right. It is time for hot takes. Jake, what do you got?
I cooked this one up. All right, here we go. Jackson Gore makes the finals of singles for an unprecedented 3rd consecutive time, but ultimately falls to Jeremiah Ellis.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. That's like so specific.
That is very specific.
I like it. All right, Anthony, are you going with open number 7 as well?
Yeah, and you started out on the same plane as me. I was looking at this thing. We have a unique singles winner every time. Harbaugh, Trader, Richards, Trzynski, Gore, Soto. Who's going to be the first player to win 2 open singles? And you look at that list, you've got some heavy hitters. For my hot take, I'm gonna, similar to what you're saying, I'm gonna go with Jackson Gore to be the first to win 2 open singles this season.
Okay.
Wow.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, he is definitely a hot player right now. I'm gonna kind of the same trajectory. I'm going Eric Davis for a bracket win.
What a surprise.
90% of her hot takes, ED.
Well, okay, but here's the thing is that is he going to keep it going, right? So, like, if he hadn't just won, I think it's a little bit, leave me alone. All right, this show is officially over. All right, I'm
ED
out.
fan.
All right, guys, we will see you all in Biloxi and see you on the show next week. Thanks so much.
See you guys.